Hey everybody, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to my latest YouTube video. The video is entitled Why I Ride or Why I Bike. I guess it's Why I Ride. I wanted to explain a little bit about it. It turned out to be a lot harder than I thought it was going to be at first. I probably made it entirely too difficult, but hopefully it will be a useful venture. If not for you, then for me. The video starts playing, that's playing in the background rather, is a group ride that I went on with Yay Bikes. It was sponsored by Yay Bikes. Yay Bikes is a local advocacy and educational group for cycling. They sponsor a lot of rides. I think they do the Tour of Columbus. They do the Ride of Silence. And I think they do a lot of community rides like this one as well. During this particular ride, Yay Bikes, we met at Whole Foods in Upper Arlington. We traveled a combination of city streets and trails, about 5 miles to go to the farmers market in Clintonville. Clintonville is, of course, located north of Ohio State. It's an older Columbus suburb. It's pretty well thought of. Right here in this particular section of the video, we're on West Campus of Ohio State. So it might be a good idea to tell you a little bit about my history with biking. I came to cycling literally overnight, which is to say I woke up one Christmas morning, made my way down to the Christmas tree, and poof, my first bike was there. I believe it was a Huffy Red Hot 3-speed, although I can't be certain. That bike certainly played a key role in my life. It was my main means of transportation. It was how I went to go see my friends. It was how I went to the pool. It's how I went fishing, delivered newspapers, went to countless baseball and football practices, not to mention the way I explored the town. My experience, probably like a lot of people's experience with biking, pauses when I get car keys. I don't think that experience is typical for kids today. I'm afraid a lot of kids probably don't have that experience of getting that first bike and that being a seminal moment in their memory. A lot of the kids that I see cycling are on two wheels in my neighborhood, are on the electric scooters. See a lot of e-bikes around. In fact, in this video, we've probably already passed an e-bike discarded on the side of the trail. Times change. You kind of have to accept it, but sometimes I think times don't change for the better. So probably the first bike that I bought myself was a Specialized Expedition. I think it was a Specialized Expedition. Probably in the 90s, the Specialized Expedition was a hybrid bike. So it was a cross, I think, between a mountain bike and a road bike. The thing with hybrid bikes in the 90s, or maybe hybrid bikes today, it seems they do a few things okay, but nothing particularly well. And that was my experience with the Specialized. I used it to cross-train as a runner, though, and I got to say it did serve its purpose in that regard. The Specialized also kind of rekindled my love of cycling, my love of biking. That feeling of joy you get when you bike, and it was kind of like a gateway bike because it leads to a couple of road bikes. I had 2 steel frame Le Mans. Followed that, I actually still have one of those Le Mans in my basement. But currently, I'm riding a Trek Marlin 7. If you don't know the Trek Marlin, it is actually a mountain bike. I don't use it to mountain bike though. It was the bike that was available when I was trying to buy a bike during COVID. I've kind of made some adaptations to that bike to suit my needs. I put some different tires on there, put a different handlebar on there, put a rack on there. What the kind of riding I find myself doing now is primarily just around the city, on trails, sometimes on sidewalks. So it's serving my needs, and I'm glad to have it. So back to the central question, which I'm supposed to be answering during this video, which is why I ride my bike. I would say maybe the number one reason is like a mental health reason. It's really tough to have a bad day riding a bike. And that's not my quote. That's something someone told me, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 years ago. She says, it's really tough to have a hard day riding a bike. And that's always stuck with me. Now, ironically, the person who told that to me, I haven't seen her ride in the last couple of years. And I finally got around to checking in or hearing about her. And apparently, she fell off her bike and broke her collarbone and has not been able to ride for a while. And, while I kind of chuckle with that, I can certainly identify with that too. Because in my past, I've got that road biking history. One of the road biking things that I did on the mountain bike was I kept the clipless pedals. And within the past week, I have fallen 3 times. And it's just a matter of the type of riding I'm doing now. It's not really appropriate, I don't think, for clipless pedals. So that's probably going to go away. But again, mental health reasons, it's tough to have a bad day on a bike. I find riding a bike reduces my stress. I'm concentrated on the physical activity and experiencing the things around me, and I'm not thinking about the things that stress me out. Also, hey, it's just plain fun. So number 2, I would say biking gives me a way to explore things. So exploration, you get to explore the things that are around you. Whether you're riding in the country, you're riding on a rail trail, you're riding in an urban environment. It's more of a one-on-one experience. You don't really experience things in a car. There's just too much separation. You're going too fast. But on a bike, you're going to experience nature. You're going to hear the sounds of the city. You're going to experience maybe history at a local level. That's one thing I really like about the rail trails, is a lot of those towns have history that is interesting to me. And it's I'm that guy that stops and reads the plaques and takes a picture of it and reads it again. That's me. So I think a bike is a perfect tool for exploration. Number 3 on my list is exercise. I'm sure if you'd have asked me 20 years ago, it probably would have been number 1 on my list. I've kind of come under the influence lately of a guy by the name of Grant Peterson. I listened to an audiobook that he did. I listened to it this summer. It's the Guide to Riding Your Bike. And he talks about exercising on your bike maybe not being the panacea that everyone thinks it is. And it kind of makes sense to me intuitively when I think about it. He says that if you're going out on these long bike rides, it comes at the expense of some other things that you might be doing if you're doing a total body fitness workout. So as a cyclist, you're primarily just working on glutes, hamstrings, and you're working on cardio. But if you do a fitness program, you're actually addressing other parts of your body as well, and you kind of get distracted as a cyclist. That's all you want to do. That's all you want to do is cycle. All you want to do is ride your bike, and I've certainly been there, and I feel like I might be going back in that direction. So that's kind of a problem. Another thing he talks about is that a lot of times you end up with a calorie, not a deficit, but a calorie surplus, because riding increases your appetite. Now, when I think about with my history, I think back over my history of cycling, a lot of cycling events were tied to food. I mean, there was one ride we went to breakfast. There was another ride we went to and we got ice cream. Even the rides that I do now, a lot of them have to have food somewhere in there. And he says if you really want to lose the weight, don't eat a couple hours before you cycle and don't eat a couple hours after you cycle. You're not going to starve. And he's probably right. So the last thing on my list is social connections. And I'll talk about that a little bit. I've talked about all the group rides that I've done, and I'm actually on a group ride during this video. Group rides are a way to meet people, to way to have dialogue with people, have a group of friends, have a group of cycling friends. When I was a younger person, that was super important to me. As I get older, it's not that important. However, I can tell you, like on Facebook, there's several cycling groups that I belong to. There's cycling over 50. There's cycling over 60. Well, there's bike backpacking. There's bike camping. There's even a solitary cycling group. Right now, at this point in my life, I don't know that I need the social connections to ride, or I won't even want to have the social connections. I kind of like the solo experience, but that's just me, and that's just right now. That might change over time, and you might feel differently about it. So to recap my four reasons as to why I bike, I think number one, like I said, is it's mental health. It reduces stress. It's just plain fun for me most of the time. Number two, biking allows me to explore. I like having that sense of independence and being able to explore things. Number three, and again, I wish it was number one, it would be exercise. I talk about, biking maybe not being as good for exercise as I initially thought, but certainly it's better than doing nothing, which is probably what I would do without it. And then the last one, of course, is the social connections. And again, that's not super important to me now, but that might change over time. It's really hard to say. So those are my four reasons. I'd be interested to hear your top reason or your top few reasons as to why you bike. Please let me know in the comments if you'd like. As always, have a great day. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot. For more boring content, follow. Also, like, comment, share. This joke never gets old. It doesn't matter. I'm going to keep doing this anyways, because it's better than working in the yard.